guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a privilege to address you today alongside key national institutions with whom we share a strong and collective responsibility for safeguarding Uganda's democratic processes. This press briefing is organized in partnership with the Electoral Commission, the Uganda Police Force, the Uganda Communications Commission, the Interreligious Council of Uganda, and the National Initiative for Civic Education in Uganda. I thank these institutions for their unwavering collaboration, professionalism, and resolve as we enter the final stretch of the 2026 electoral cycle. We have traveled a long road since the Electoral Commission launched the electoral roadmap 18 months ago. Today, with only 6 weeks to Election Day on 15th January 2026, we gather with one purpose: to affirm our national commitment to a Uganda where citizens exercise their choice freely, where competing ideas are expressed with civility and mutual respect, and where elections strengthen unity rather than rupture it. A free, fair, and peaceful election is not merely a political aspiration. It is a constitutional command under Article 59. The state must at all times guarantee that every eligible Ugandan can register and vote without hindrance, including persons with disabilities and those from vulnerable and marginalized communities. Even children, though they do not vote, must be protected from the indirect harms of electoral tension and disorder. Once again, let me in a special way welcome the representatives of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the Inspector General of Police. I commend the EC chairperson for guiding the country through a clear, predictable, and inclusive electoral roadmap over the past 18 months, and I recognize the Inspector General of Police for his steadfast commitment to human rights and professional policing. I also acknowledge the Uganda Communications Commission for your crucial role in ensuring an orderly and responsible communications environment, especially in an era when information spreads rapidly and misinformation spreads even faster. In the same way, the Interreligious Council of Uganda and NICE Uganda have consistently preached peaceful participation and tolerance, and we deeply value your leadership at this delicate moment. We also pay tribute to the Grand Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Shaban Mubaje, for his consistent message of peace, unity, inclusion, love, and tolerance. Ladies and gentlemen, as we monitor the pre-election environment, the Commission has observed several emerging trends that I must say present risks to peace, security, and human rights. Allow me to raise a few of them frankly and clearly. We have noted the rise of youth groups acting as vigilantes and political foot soldiers, particularly in the central region. These groups are unlawful, dangerous, and incompatible with a democratic process. Election security remains the constitutional mandate of the Uganda Police Force alone, and we urge that these formations are disbanded immediately wherever they exist. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also witnessing worrying expressions of identity-based politics. In Bunyoro, for instance, the Abafuruki narrative is resurfacing, and in Kigezi, religious-based mobilization between Catholics and Protestants has re-emerged in some areas. Identity politics corrodes the foundations of equality and non-discrimination and threatens to divide communities that have lived together for generations. Elections must never become platforms that inflame tribal or religious sentiment. In addition, we are increasingly concerned about the rise of misinformation. In the central region and other parts of the country, falsehoods and biased reporting are being used to stoke anxiety. It is troubling that some mainstream media houses have recently swung into action to discredit the electoral process through narratives that are false, exaggerated, or selectively framed. Notably, the claims of police brutality against some candidates circulating in selected outlets have not been corroborated by facts, yet they are being amplified recklessly. Such conduct undermines public confidence and harms the integrity of the electoral process. We therefore call upon the media to uphold professionalism, responsibility, objectivity, accuracy, and patriotism. The media is the bridge between institutions and citizens. That bridge must not be used to breed fear or distort reality. In an age of artificial intelligence and largely unregulated digital platforms, the obligation to verify information before publishing it is not just a journalistic requirement, it is a national duty. We urge every Ugandan using social media to exercise restraint, skepticism, and responsibility. Information can build a nation or break it. Stakeholders here present, we are also concerned about gender-related constraints on political participation. Reports from multiple regions indicate that some women feel compelled to seek permission from their husbands before choosing which candidate to support. This practice violates women's constitutional rights and has in many cases contributed to spikes in sexual and gender-based violence. It must be condemned and rejected unequivocally. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda needs a peaceful electoral season built on respect, restraint, and responsibility. This is why today's gathering of key institutions is both symbolic and substantive. We stand together to reaffirm our commitment to upholding the rule of law, safeguarding rights, and ensuring a credible electoral process. To political parties and candidates, your leadership is critical. The Commission commends those who have demonstrated restraint and maturity. Continue to put Uganda first. Campaign with dignity. Respect your opponents and honor the rights of your supporters and non-supporters alike. Uganda is bigger than any individual, movement, or campaign message. To the electorate, these elections are about your voice and your future. Participate peacefully. Reject violence. Respect opinions different from your own. Democracy thrives on diversity of thought, not uniformity of belief. To the security agencies, your role is indispensable. Maintain law and order firmly, professionally, and within the confines of human rights principles. The use of force must always be lawful, proportionate, and a last resort. The country is counting on your discipline. As the Human Rights Commission, we have been active throughout the country, holding preventive dialogues with political leaders, cultural institutions, religious leaders, security personnel, and communities. Our campaigns monitoring teams are on the ground daily, calling out acts of violence and violations. On election day, we will deploy observers and will issue our assessment publicly. We have established a 24-hour hotline for citizens to report human rights concerns. We will continue to provide civic education and engage stakeholders to keep our democracy stable, peaceful, and inclusive. Dear friends, our message is simple. Peace is everyone's responsibility. Uganda must prove that disagreement does not mean division and that competition need not lead to conflict. The credibility of the 2026 polls will depend on respect for human rights, tolerance, and adherence to the rule of law. Elections are strongest when citizens feel safe and empowered to express their will freely. Let us work together as institutions, political parties, civil society, the media, and citizens to ensure that the 2026 elections become a celebration of democracy, not a contest of hostility. Let us uphold human rights, the rule of law, and the dignity of each and every Ugandan without discrimination on any ground, for God and my country.
Another round of applause for the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that backdrop, allow me to invite the panel up on stage, because like you heard from the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, everyone has a key responsibility, and we are also here to reaffirm our commitments to ensuring that we enjoy the democracy and also have a peaceful 2026 election season. So allow me call upon the representative for the Uganda Police. Please make your way to the front. And then the Electoral Commission spokesperson, Mr. Julius Muchunguzi, is following online. Oh, he's already here. Thank you so much for coming. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause as they take their seats. And as you follow the conversation, as you follow what the speakers are saying, we'll be having a session where you'll be sharing your comments. If you have questions directed to the particular speakers, that will also be happening just right after this panel. Yes, please take your seats. Mufti, we are waiting for you. And just all to the panelists. We are here because we'd like to know, number one, what your role is, your responsibility, as well as the message to the electorate. And you can turn on your microphones to be sure that they are all working. And I'll just give each one of them a minute to introduce themselves and also to just highlight for us what their role is in ensuring that we do have a peaceful 2026 election. I'll start with you, Electoral Commission.
Yes,
it's on.
Are we on? Thank you very much, Mildred, the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, the the representatives of the various agencies that are represented on the platform here, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julius Muchunguzi. I am the head of public relations and spokesperson of the Electoral Commission. I am representing the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Justice Belkan Mugen Simon, who is solidarity at this joint press briefing. He's unable to come because he is writing decisions of the petitions that the Commission has been hearing over the past few months. And that process of concluding those decisions is critical because the next phase of the process at the Commission is printing ballot papers, and you cannot print ballot papers until you have disposed of all the petitions, made decisions, and made sure that the right people that should be on the ballot papers are there, and that those that should not be there are actually not there. That is the reason why the Commission is not here. The rest of the members of the Commission are out doing work of the Commission that they have to do. But the chairperson has asked me to, one, convey his appreciation of the Uganda Human Rights Commission convening us at this joint press briefing, and to state that this is consistent with the message that the Commission has been consistent on, that a free, fair, credible, and transparent electoral process is a responsibility of all the critical stakeholders that are involved in the electoral process. And this press briefing in itself, that is joint in nature, that brings together the different actors, is in effect working in that direction, and the Commission appreciates this very much.
Okay. And your role?
So, the role of the Electoral Commission, as you know, is, in Uganda they would say, Ntifawa Kwata, Awawunya. You know, we are the Nanyini Mufu, but there is no Mufu here. We are the people mandated by the Constitution in the various articles 60, 61 to conduct and organize free and fair elections. But the Commission's message, as has been consistently stated, is that to achieve that free, fair, credible, transparent election, every stakeholder, the candidates, their agents, their supporters, the media, civil society, political parties, all of them must play their rightful roles and play them in accordance with the laws. And we believe that if each actor in the electoral process acts in accordance with the law, acts peacefully, respects one another, and does not take elections as a do-or-die affair, that and considers Uganda as the ultimate responsibility, a peaceful, united, progressing Uganda as the responsibility of each actor, that we will be able to know that elections are a civil process as they are in the Constitution, a means to elect leaders, and that it's the right of every registered voter to choose.
I'm the head of litigation, prosecution and legal advisory. I didn't come alone. I came with my colleagues, Medi Kagwa, Sevagala, the head of multimedia and content. Medi, maybe you wave to the audience.
Thank you for coming.
And my colleague, Ibrahim Bossa, the head of public and international relations at UCC.
Thank you.
We came as a big delegation because we take this platform seriously, and we want to thank the Uganda Human Rights Commission for convening all of us together. At this critical juncture in our history as a country, UCC appreciates every agency, every person for the role we are playing in delivering a peaceful election. At the Uganda Communications Commission, as you know, by law, we are set up under the Uganda Communications Act, and in that law, our mandate primarily is to regulate the communication sector, and that includes media, both mainstream media and the new media. So our main responsibility in the electoral process is to ensure that our communication platforms are used responsibly to ensure that all Ugandans are receiving the right message. The candidates are sharing their messages through those platforms responsibly, but also Ugandans are participating and using the different media platforms responsibly. So at UCC, we are trying to ensure that both the mainstream media, the radios, the TVs, we continuously remind them about their duty to abide by the law, the Uganda Communications Act, the Minimum Broadcasting Standards, the Uganda Communications Content Regulations, because all those provisions in the law summarized the message that whatever you do as a communication platform, you must do it responsibly, you must be factual, you must be conscious of the ideas of other people, but also you must appreciate that media platforms are non-partisan. In Uganda, the media is not supposed to take sides. Even when, as a TV station or as a presenter, you have a candidate. When you're on that TV program or radio program, you must appear neutral, because in our regulatory environment, the law says the media must be non-partisan. And this obligation doesn't just stop at the mainstream media. Even for our colleagues who are broadcasting online, we know very well that because of technology, we have many people now operating on YouTube, on TikTok, on other digital platforms. Even those, under the law, they are supposed to act responsibly and ensure that whatever message you are recording, even when you are just on Facebook Live, even when you're on X, at that point you are deemed to be a broadcaster. And the law requires you to be objective, to be non-partisan, to be factual, and to verify whatever fact that it is that you're sharing. So that's our duty, and we'll be sharing more to assure the public that the communication sector is ready. Even our telecommunication service providers that are providing internet, because many of you are connecting through internet, you may not understand that behind the scene, there are many telecom operators that are making it possible for you to be on Facebook Live, for you to be on YouTube, for your TV signals to be received in your house. So all those players, we have aligned all of them to ensure that they set up their systems in a way that facilitates free and fair participation by all Ugandans during this electoral process.
Mr. Waiso, I like how you keep referring to Facebook Live, but I'd like to bring to your attention, and we shall get to it a bit later on, that as we speak, it's been how many years? 5 years down the road. Facebook is still banned. I'll get back to you.
I'll clarify.
Yes. Moving on to Ms. Diana Chasimire, Commissioner of Police, and representing the Deputy Director, representing the IGP. So we'd like to hear from you what your role is in ensuring that we do have a peaceful 2026 election, because you know the police fingers have always been pointed to the police, saying that they are the perpetrators of violence. And so what is your responsibility and your role in ensuring that whatever we've been seeing in the media, especially in the recent days, does not happen when it comes to 2026?
Thank you. Good morning once again. I am Commissioner of Police, Dina Chasimire. I am Acting Deputy Director, Human Rights and Legal Services. And I am representing the Inspector General of Police. I bring you greetings. He was not able to be here due to other commitments. So the role of police when it comes to electoral process does not change. We do not deviate from our mandate, because the Constitution gives us a mandate, the Police Act gives us a mandate. So we are here to protect life and property. We detect crime. And when it comes to these campaigns and electoral process, we ensure that candidates are secure, venues are secure, voters are secure, crimes are investigated. So we encourage candidates and the voters that they should maintain law and order. They should operate within the confines of the law, because the law is not in abeyance. We have rights, but also we must understand that when we are exercising our rights, there are also other people whose rights should be protected. So we have rights bearers, and then we have duty bearers. So the law must be, we must maintain the law. We have intelligence, sometimes we collect intelligence, and when we say do not pass here, for example, it's not that we are stopping you, you shouldn't exercise your right of movement, no. Probably we have detected that it is insecure, it's not good for you to be here. Electoral Commission gave guidelines on how campaigns should be carried out. So for us, like he said, the representative of the EC chair said, bebakwata wawunya. Elections are organized by Electoral Commission, so we come in support. So if you don't abide by the law, if you don't operate within the confines of the law, definitely as police we come in. But we are not there to stop people from exercising their rights, because that's why we are there. We are there to ensure that each citizen enjoy their rights, but within the law.
But someone would argue that, like the example you've given of passing a particular place and the other, you don't pass this particular place, it only applies to a certain section of candidates. And in most cases, they are the opposition candidates. So would we say that the other candidates are using the exact route? Why is it that these people are the ones that are always faulted by the police somehow?
Probably because for as long as you have not used the route, then we come in.
Okay.
But not that we are against any political party.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the Inter-Religious Council. Like we said, everyone in this room has a role to play when it comes to ensuring that we do have a peaceful 2026 general election. And from the religious standpoint, would like to know, Mufti, what is the role of religion or the faith when it comes to the 2026 general elections?
As I remarked earlier on, I came to represent His Eminence the Mufti. Though I'm an executive board member of the Interreligious Council, but I was not mandated to speak on their behalf today.
Okay.
But I would like to draw your attention to the press release that the Interreligious Council made on the 24th of November 2025. Actually, it is still afresh because it addressed many of the important issues that are ongoing in the elections. But as a religious leader, we regard ourselves as stakeholders who are entrusted with moral responsibility to watch over our nation and to guide it during moments of uncertainty like these ones. Indeed, we acknowledge a few things that we have worked with the communities and we have listened to their fears and we prayed for their hopes. Equally, we are playing a role of connecting the communities with the people in authority, the Electoral Commission, the police, the security, and so on and so forth. And we thank that we accepted before all the communities, and we are ready to spearhead a peaceful process if supported by all organs in the country. As you remember, from the previous elections, we have done a lot that included the presidential candidates debate, which actually was the first of its kind in Africa, where you saw all the candidates shaking hands and even hugging. So we may not have one this time because we have not been enabled and supported to do so, but we are equally issuing pastoral letters to enable our religious leaders to play their role in guiding the masses to behave faithfully and to avoid provocations and to stick to the rule of law. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mufti. And I'd like to return back to the Electoral Commission. What mechanisms are in place to ensure that all candidates and political parties have access and fair treatment throughout the election cycle? And I'd like to just reference to the recent incidences. I'm very sure, Mr. Mchunguzi, you've been following some of these incidences, even some of the candidates calling out to the Electoral Commission, asking them to intervene because of situations that they see or deem as unfair to them. And just like the Commissioner of Police did highlight, Miss Dana, she said sometimes the candidate is stopped from passing here and the other side, and yet the electoral roadmap also says otherwise. So how do we harmonize this, but also ensure that all the candidates are having equal access and treatment during this election cycle? Because what we are seeing now could easily play out when it comes to 2026.
Thank you. When the Electoral Commission released the roadmap that we are all following for the 2025-26 general elections in 2023 and revised it in 2024 and began the process of all the activities that we have undertaken, from demarcation of electoral areas to reorganization of polling stations, to the update of the National Voters Register, to the nominations, one would almost imagine that there is nothing happening because there was no incident. Generally, people were peacefully following the guidelines of the Commission on what needed to be done. And then the campaigns started on the 29th of September.
Peacefully also.
Peacefully. To the extent that the first 5, 6, 7 weeks, people began to wonder whether we're in the same country or whether something fundamental had happened, with some saying that the process was boring, that there was no vibe, and that they couldn't believe it. And everybody was applauding this, that this is what we want to see, because that is how electoral processes should be. Electoral processes are civil processes provided for in all our laws as processes through which people will choose their leaders. And the framers of the 1995 Constitution were aware of the history. When you look at the preamble, that we have had a history that's characterized by all those kind of things, and that now we resolve that we have to be a constitutional country that follows the laws in choosing our leaders. Let us say this, that the incidents that we've seen in a few of the places that have captured the headlines are very unfortunate, they are regrettable, and they were and are avoidable. But to avoid them requires every actor, as has been said, to follow the law. Our Constitution and our laws say no one is above the law, including law enforcement.
But the candidates claim that they are operating within the law.
That is a subject that has to be verified, because we believe, as the Electoral Commission, that if everybody stayed in their lane and acted in accordance with the law, we would not, the laws and the guidelines, the Commission, as was mentioned by the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, issued guidelines for campaigns, for instance, on time, when you should campaign and when you should stop campaign, banned processions, prohibited conduct of campaigns in the middle of roads and public spaces that have people in them, like markets, schools, hospitals. But we have begun to see some candidates across the board not following those guidelines. And that is the real issue. That is the real issue. Failure to follow the laws, failure to follow the guidelines, and refusal to follow the guidelines. And it is incumbent upon all the actors in the electoral process. The candidates have a duty. The candidates who want to be leaders at all levels have a duty to be leaders by telling their supporters to follow the law. It starts with the leaders, and we call upon the candidates presidential candidates, members of parliament candidates, at all levels, to be the champions of making sure that the guidelines that they have, the electoral laws that they know, are followed to the letter. If that was being followed, we would not be seeing the confrontations that we see in a number of places. But let us also say this. While we've seen these incidents, regrettable as they are, we should not lose sight of the many candidates, because the Electoral Commission nominated 83,000 candidates from councillors to the president, contesting for 45,000 elective positions. Let us not forget that there are many candidates and supporters who are acting peacefully, who are conducting themselves according to the regulations and guidelines and electoral laws, to the extent that these incidents cannot and should not be what describes or paints the image of what is happening across the country. And we believe strongly that we can even address the root causes of the incidents that we've seen and we are seeing. It is important that we not only address the wound, but we address the fundamental root causes of why are we seeing clashes? Why are we seeing supporters of different candidates and political parties clashing amongst themselves, even without police being involved? Yesterday, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission convened a meeting of the agents of all candidates who are contesting for president, together with police. And what was coming out in that room, agents were saying, your supporters are beating us. Supporter confrontation and violence. All of those are uncalled for. So while police comes up in a number of cases, while it is enforcing these electoral laws, we need as leaders, we need as stakeholders to call on the public, to call on the voters, to call on all stakeholders to follow the law. Okay. Because the wound is septic not just on the symptoms, but on addressing the real causes. If we don't address the causes, which is failure and refusal to abide by the electoral laws and the guidelines, we will talk and go, and the repetition of the cases that we have started seeing will continue. But we believe that as Ugandans, we want peaceful elections, and we are capable of returning to that environment that some were calling boring. We would rather have that process, environment that has no vibe, if you call it vibe, and deliver to the people of Uganda the leaders that they will have chosen.
So, Mr. Mchunguzi, in a way you're saying that the electorate called for this situation for themselves.
We are saying that what we are seeing is a result of all of the actors, or some of the actors, not following the laws.
Okay.
The commission and other stakeholders, at least from the commission point of view, no one can say that they don't know what they need to do. The leaders, at least all of them, know.
Okay.
But the choice is theirs to give Ugandans a peaceful process, a peaceful campaign process, if they choose and to follow the guidelines that they have and they know.
Thank you. I'd like to bring in the police. In your opening remarks, Ms. Diana, you did mention that the police is here to safeguard and protect the voter. In as much as they break the law, the manner in which, allegedly break the law, the manner in which the police is handling them, is that the best you could do? We've had incidences, for example, the recent incidences in Uganda, where one life was lost to live bullets, and the police, or usually when they're asked for statements, they come and say the electorate or the supporters threw stones, but a stone cannot be compared to a live bullet. And so how can you ensure that you are carrying out your role in this electoral process without harming the supporter?
Yeah, thank you. We don't go out to harm. We go out to enforce the law. So we regret such cases where lives are lost, and I don't think it's intended. So that very case you have
When you say it is not intended, when you open a gunfire, what is going to happen? When you open a gunfire, definitely you're going to expect loss of life.
Can I finish my statement, ma'am?
Please.
Yes, like I was saying, we don't go out to do harm. But when such cases happen, they are regrettable. So that very case you have mentioned of Uganda, we regret it and we are investigating it because we condemn it. It shouldn't have happened. So whoever did it definitely is going to face the law.
Okay. And so, how then are you going to ensure that such incidences don't happen again? Because the campaigns, we still have 6 weeks, the campaigns are still ongoing, and still we are seeing clashes between the police and the supporters. And if we do not do something about it, that was one life lost. Many more could be, lost.
No, we shall not see such more incidents because we tell our officers to operate within the law, and if such incidents happen, we take action. Because sometimes, like I said, we are investigating. We couldn't know why a life was lost, because we don't send out officers. Those are operational mistakes, and like I said, we regret them. But I want to assure us that we are not going to see such incidents. But what I encourage us to do is, let's keep within the law. Let's keep within the law. If we say, let's pass here, let me ask us, all of us, suppose you were coming from Kampala going to Jinja. You have a meeting in Jinja, for example, Uganda Human Rights Commission, you have organized a meeting in Jinja. And then, in Mbari, and then you reach Iganga, you have nowhere to pass. Who are you going to ask? Are you going to ask the people on the road, or you're going to ask, police, where are you? You get it? So in the process, that's why I was saying, let's respect the law. Why are people on the road, right? We are trying to tell you, get out of this, but we are getting confrontations. So sometimes officers, maybe, which we don't expect them to be doing, don't know sometimes where to balance. So we don't know why, for example, the case in Iganga happened.
You're saying the police officers don't know when to balance what?
Sometimes they don't know how to balance the situation. Like, when should you, because for example, at no point were we expecting someone to shoot. So we don't know this very person who shot, why was he shooting? So probably he didn't know how to balance. Because was he under danger? Was he facing danger? If someone was throwing a stone, maybe he shouldn't have responded with a gun. Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying we are investigating. We want to know, why did you do this?
They are taking note of everything that we are talking here. And when the plenary comes, I hope we can hear different minds on what the police is submitting. I'd like to bring in the Uganda Communications Commission. The situations that we have seen in the elections, when they are documented, filmed, and put up on social media, somehow it becomes a threat to the state. And we see social media platforms like Facebook being banned. And so how are we going to ensure that we do have fair media coverage, which also is having information that you say is tailored and is following the law without any interference?
Thank you very much. Indeed, at UCC, we encourage the public to use all communication platforms because our primary objective is to ensure that, one, people are free to express themselves using any available technologies and platforms. But we keep reminding all users and consumers of communication services that you have a duty to ensure that whatever information you're airing out on whatever platform is information that is factual, is fair, is for peace. So it begins with a person churning out this information. It doesn't really matter on what platform you are sending that message. Whether you're on TV, whether you're on radio, whether you are on X, YouTube, or any platform, we expect you to always remember that that clip you're recording, whatever statement you're saying, is it fair? Is it factual? Is it going to leave Uganda the same? We want everybody to have that self-reflection, because many times we are very quick to blame only the mainstream journalists. But sometimes the impact is caused by clips by average people, because technology has now made almost all of us journalists. And that's why you heard me in my introduction remarks saying journalists and media practitioners. Because by you going on a live platform, by you opening up a YouTube channel and sharing information, you may not be a journalist. You may not be licensed by UCC. But at that point, the impact of your message can be as big as the impact that NTV or NBS will cause to the nation. And that's why, as UCC, we've tried to guide and provide an enabling environment that facilitates people to, one, formalize their activities as media providers or practitioners by coming up with different licensing categories. We have categories for radios, for TVs, for online. We are aware that a number of Ugandans have actually complied. They are getting licenses to run their online TVs, and we are happy with those people. Many of them are operating professionally. But we're also aware that there are some people who feel like regulation is an attack on their freedom. They fear any discussion with the regulator. Now, to those Ugandans, we keep telling them, please do not run out from regulation. Because by you registering your YouTube channel and you being reminded by UCC to follow the law, that will even help your business to grow. You will attract business, you will attract advertisement, and you'll become credible. The reason why some platforms could have been suspended that you've mentioned is not because anybody is really very happy to have those platforms restricted in Uganda.
Looks like it, because it's been 5 years.
That is true. The reason why Facebook specifically was suspended, we all know, and I mean, different leaders have come out publicly to explain. The main reason was the platform was being used as a conduit for sending out unacceptable content. And the government tried at different levels to engage the platform managers. And for a long time, they were adamant.
What unacceptable content was it?
I mean, who doesn't know how people were sharing a lot of information that a normal TV cannot air? People were sharing pictures, videos saying, go and attack others, kill so and so, creating division within society. And there are many documented processes that UCC and the government undertook.
But also, these are the same platforms that we use to hold some of the stakeholders in the election accountable for their actions.
So,
for example, like the recent elections, I mean, from the Kawempe by-election, where everything started from. So if you ban media houses from bringing out some of these social injustices, you're infringing on people's rights.
Okay, like I said, we have many media platforms. Uganda, at the moment, we have 342 radio stations. No radio station has been closed. We have over 88 televisions operating in the country. We have close to 10 million people using TikTok in this country. We have over 3 million people using X in this country. By the time Facebook was suspended in 2021, they had about 1.8, 1.9 users in Uganda. From where we sit now, we know that it is officially suspended, but there are still about 1.5 people who are using VPN and other technologies to bypass the blockage and are still using. And that's why, as a regulator, we still keep telling people that even when you're using VPN, technology enables UCC and other government institutions to see that you are using Facebook. It doesn't therefore mean that because it was suspended, if you do anything wrong on Facebook, you are immune from liability. We see many of you. And when the time calls, we can open the blankets and know who posted whatever you did on Facebook. And it is not a legal defense for you to say that for me, I was using Facebook and officially Facebook was suspended in Uganda. Technology enables us to know who is using this platform from anywhere. And that's why we keep reminding everybody that do not be lied to by anybody.
Thank you.
That because you're using VPN, we are not seeing you. We are seeing you.
Okay. So now do we have hope that Facebook will be opened soon?
I've seen reports and messages from leaders in this country, and I'm aware that UCC, together with other government institutions, have been engaged in many discussions with Facebook, and there is hope. There is hope that once they address the concerns, maybe they will be officially reopened. But we are all encouraging users to use whatever platform that you're using responsibly, because it is your misuse of those platforms that will provoke government and the regulators to maybe go into that temptation of issuing any directive that could end up affecting the way you use that platform.
Thank you so much. And finally, in just 30 seconds, like as we wrap up this and invite plenary, I'll go to the Interreligious Council. Mufti, what is your message to political actors, or what is your message to the electorate when it comes to ensuring that we all have peaceful elections come 2026?
Well, our appeal has been to abide by the rule of law, to follow the instructions of the Electoral Commission, to abide by the programs that are officially given, to avoid provocation from either way, and also to feel the fact that this nation is a shared nation for all of us. We need to know that this exercise will end and we shall remain the same people. We should not disrupt the peace, which is a fragile commodity, and it is our all responsibility to keep it. Uganda, after so many years of civil strifes, achieved this peace, which many countries in the world are lacking. We should take it very important. And then there are extreme cases where some of the participants in the elections are going beyond their means to commercialize politics, some of them to the extent of selling their commodities, and yet they are not assured of the end. These will be disastrous to their lives, and we should know that God already has chosen who will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And to the police, your commitment in less than 30 seconds, your commitment to ensuring that we have 2026 peaceful elections.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, we have a mandate within which we operate, and we ensure that candidates are secure, voters are secure, polling stations are secure. We promise that we shall keep within our mandate, but also want to appeal to the public, to the candidates, the voters, please respect the law. This is our Uganda, and we are not going to let it go to waste when we are here as security officers. So please work with us to keep our Uganda safe. We have a lot to protect. We have gains to protect. We have lives to protect. So let's work together. Thank you.
All right. And to the Uganda Communications Commission, how will you ensure that the enforcement of the communication guidelines do not limit political expression as well as access to information?
Thank you very much. At UCC, we assure Ugandans that we are doing everything possible within the law to facilitate enjoyment of freedom of expression and for people to engage in civic activities. We call upon all Ugandans that use communication platforms, both the mainstream and the new media. Can we be responsible? We call upon media owners, media practitioners to always adhere to the minimum broadcasting standards and the duty for them to create a non-partisan platform that allows free discussion, balance, and professionalism.
Okay.
Let us all be ethical and facilitate the enjoyment of peace in this country, because there is only one Uganda, which we all have a duty to protect and preserve for ourselves and our children and our children's children.
Thank you. Finally, the Electoral Commission, Mr. Mchunguzi, your commitment.
We are capable as a people, as Ugandans, to have free, fair, transparent, and peaceful elections. The choice is in what and how we conduct ourselves. All of us, from candidates, their supporters, their agents, the electoral officials, the security agencies, police, and all of us, if we determine and if we decide that we want to have a peaceful conduct, we can. We are capable. We have shown in the past few weeks that it was possible to have a conduct of campaigns that are peaceful. It means we are aware of what we need to do. And we can do it again, do it even better, do it even more to enable Ugandans know that an election is not a war, and that this election of 2026 is coming. And after 15th and the other dates that the Commission has outlined, we will wake up in this same country. But what kind of country do we want to wake up in after we have cast our ballots and chosen our leaders?
Thank you, Mr. Mchunguzi. I now open the floor to plenary. Also, we shall use this time to have the press engagement, the Q&A from the media. If you have a question, you kindly highlight clearly the person that you are directing it to. And he was the first person to raise his hand. Catherine, this side. You give us your name, the media house organization representing, and to whom you're directing the question.
Thank you so much. My name is Grace Segrinya from South Media. My first question goes to Madam Chasimire. There's a statement you've made saying the incidents that have occurred, these are operational mistakes. I'm sorry to say, but the statement was so sarcastic when we observed the previous incidents that have occurred. At YSA, we saw police intended it actually was not even accidental when they pushed people that had come to attend Ilari to fall into the trench. Many sustained injuries. Another incident occurred at Kalere. Actually, one person was presumed to be dead. Now, another incident that occurred at Uganda also left questions. We need to know what are the criteria of assigning these officers before they go for such operations. Are these people operating under some other instructions from somewhere else? Do you first rehabilitate them? Are they frustrated? Because we need to know. Others are still now warming up. They're saying, with 6 weeks to come, we are going to show you more dust. We are going to beat the opposition. We are going to suffocate the media. We are going to close you. Second, to the UCC, the rate of the operation, it has become so militaristic to media houses. You come up with rules which are so rudimentary. You come and ask for free airspace. You don't want to pay.
Right?
On a weekly basis, you want 4 programs. When you want your people to explain about government programs, you're given this money. Why do you want to suffocate media houses by operating under that way?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Catherine, I'm having him. Yes. Please keep your questions short.
Thank you. My name is David Ijo. I work with NTV. To Mr. Waiswa, UCC, one of the roles that you haven't mentioned, informal, I must say, that keeps happening in every electoral cycle is the shutdown of internet. We saw it in the previous elections, and there are predictions that it's likely to happen in this very one, a day to, during and after the voting process. If at all voting is a democratic process, that being a democratic process, opens its eyes to accountability, including media visibility. How do you defend shutting down the internet as, an enabler of a peaceful election? That is to you. And then, Julius Muchunguzi, you did say that the recent drama that we witnessed violent scenes in the recent weeks was as a result of some, presidential candidates largely not following the guidelines, and the kind of enforcement we saw is as a result of that. But when you talk of guidelines, there are known guidelines to the public, guidelines on processions, the deadline time of campaigns, and all that. Some presidential candidates have alleged that they've been deliberately targeted because the guidelines being faulted are also being faulted in other camps. For example, we've witnessed processions in camps like the NRM. There's video footage to that. We've witnessed, campaigns extending as far as the hour of 6 p.m., even in other camps, and these camps are, for some reason, left to go free, while others are targeted. As the Electoral Commission, what is your comment to that as well?
Yes, there was a hand here, Catherine. Yes?
Thanks. I'm Ron Mayanja. I work for Prime Radio. It's good a colleague from NTV asked that question to Mr. Wise, but let me pin it again. Confirm to Ugandans that time around on 15th, from 15th or the whole week, that we're going to have internet on. It's like a culture or a norm nowadays in Africa. When African countries are voting presidents, internet switched off. Thanks.
The same table.
Thank you, Madam. I'm Setu Bamanshur. I work with Cruise Media. Actually, to the police, my first question is, why are you people not balanced in the way you are operating your business? Because one, we've seen video footages from the national media, that is NTV. We've seen your trucks, police trucks, fetching supporters of a certain candidate to the venue. Actually, I will not say students, because some students are eligible for voting. But on the other side, you are just beating them. My second question also to the police, why do you wait for such scenarios to happen? For example, in Uganda, you want to tell the country that you have only two methods of crowd control, that is tear gas and bullets? Because everywhere you've been operated in, like in the other recent elections, tear gas and bullets. But why do you wait for such scenarios to happen when you have an eligible force which can operate before? Then to the UCC, Mister, isn't AI finishing your job? Because there is a certain trending video where we see a police officer spraying tear gas direct in the eyes of a supporter. And Mr. Muchunguzi said that video is an AI-generated one. So if such incidences continue to happen and they say they are AI-generated, are then they painting a bad image to the picture of our nation? Actually, when UCC is under control. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My name is William Rwanga. I work with Beg Media, Beg TV. I would like to commend the Electoral Commission for guiding in this electoral process. You have done a wonderful job. But I want to the Uganda police. There is an incident that happened in Arua. I saw one candidate. I don't support any candidate when I'm doing my work. I want to listen to the candidate to see whether he or she deserves my vote. Police was trying to block the candidate, yet the candidate requested the Electoral Commission to be in that venue. He was accessing Arua city, and the police was blocking the candidate. The Electoral Commission has already given out guidelines that at 6 p.m. you must finish your campaign. But what happened? Police was doing the opposite, blocking the candidate, wasting his time, wasting the time of Ugandans who are expecting to listen to him, what he's going to do for them, because we have to listen to those candidates. Then finally to UCC. UCC, under what law did you close Facebook? Facebook is an international company from the United States. Did you take any steps to engage with Facebook in order to close it? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is George Bukenya. I work with Daily Star and Daily Mail. Mine goes to police, although my friend from NTV has talked about it, but I want to ask, why does police practice double standard? One will presume that maybe you are supporting some party. Why do I say so? Because protections are being done by the two leading parties in the country, one in the opposition, one in the ruling party. When people make protections from the ruling party, you don't come to act. But when the other side, they take protections, you come to act. Why are you practicing double standards, police?
Thank you very much. My name is Edifred Kasajja. I'm the Deputy Secretary General Justice Forum, GEMA. My observation, in the House, given my background, I don't see so many political parties, apart from my colleague from UPC. I think abantu bakowe ebintu bino. Yes, I came because I had to, but I was almost hesitating to be here. Nonetheless, I want to make some comments. Police, you are biased, and highly biased. When I'm coming from Radio Uganda, UBC, and I'm coming to Sheraton here, why do you want me to go through Bwaise, Karere, Makerere, Nakurabye, then zoom to Sheraton? You are highly biased, and that is bad, because you are supposed to dispense the law squarely and equitably, fairly. You are biased, and we should stop it. Yeah, that's how we are. We politicians, we don't mess our words up. Then, the Human Rights Commission, Madam Chair, with all the respect, why is Dr. Besigye still kept in prison after more than a year? Why, when you are there? You claim you've done all that you can do to safeguard our human rights. But why is Dr. Besigye still kept in prison for more than a year? You have heard, I know you are privy to information from Tanzania, what has been happening by locking up a figure, a key figure in the political dispensation of Tanzania, what has erupted there. Dr. Besigye is not any simple person. He's a political leader, he has a following. Why do you boil up angers when you are getting to this electoral process? Don't you think that can have an effect? I think you owe Ugandans an answer, Madam Chair, in this regard, that Dr. Besigye, given the law of the country, he should be out of Luzira, or let him be taken to the requisite courts, avunanibwe, released, or jailed squarely, objectively. And the Electoral Commission, this one has run away, as usual. I will not throw much to him because he has run away and I don't talk to shadows. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not a journalist, but I work with the Electoral Laws and Governance Institute, all protocol observed. First, I want to commend the Uganda Human Rights Commission and their partners for having convened this dialogue. But premised on that, the chairperson told us that we should respect people of divergent views, and I want to premise myself as one who will be totally of divergent views today. Why? Because I understand how the law works, what the Constitution says, and I know that there is always an underdog in every process, and that underdog must be protected by the law. One, that human rights are inherent. They are God-given. The law simply protects, as in institutions like UCC, police, Electoral Commission, and Uganda Human Rights Commission, with all due respect, are supposed to protect. The Constitution guarantees. I use these words with emphasis because that is what it is in the law. And there is a reason why it was written the way it was written. Unfortunately, I did not hear the Uganda Human Rights Commission today rebuking the death of Okello. Poor Okello, at 24, he's gone. Why? Simply because he went to a political rally. How many people in 1980 went to political rallies and lost their lives? How many? In 2021, we lost 54 people plus. And the Uganda and the Human Rights Watch put that number at over 100 people. We've never had accountability for the death of Ugandans. The Human Rights Commission statement also missed the 80-year-old whose bones were broken by the police force. I was so happy when I heard the police say they regret the death and they're investigating. And for the first time, I do request that let us see this come to pass, the person brought to book. We are human beings, we love ourselves. The reason why we are seated here is because we are all breathing. But we should remember that as much as we love ourselves, other people have an entitlement to their life as well. And we need to respect that life. So I'll mention 4 things. 1, that the Uganda Human Rights Commission should hold people to account for Okello's life. The Uganda Human Rights Commission should include in its statement the Ugandans who've been harmed along the electoral process. The 80-year-old whose bones were broken should be investigated. Compensation happened. Those that were harmed in Kawempe should be included in the Commission's statement. That is 1. 2, that the Uganda police, and I like our commissioner, she said the Constitution and the Police Act mandates Uganda police to protect life and property. But the Constitution, neither the Police Act, does not mandate Uganda Commission to prosecute, condemn, and apprehend. That's the duty of the court. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. If anybody commits any crime, even processions, apprehend them, take them to court. That is what the law provides. I want to see that emphasized by the institutions in this room. Thirdly, where is the right to a fair hearing? In this room, we have Electoral Commission, we have UCC, we have Uganda Police, we have Uganda Human Rights Commission, we have IRC, we have me from civil society and maybe other people. Where are the political parties? They should be here to talk about their own story on the trail. They should be here to present the misery they have suffered, the tears they have cried simply because they have divergent political opinions. Lastly, they are taking the microphone away from me because of my divergent opinion. It doesn't matter. But I want to conclude that for the band processions and the Electoral Commission, the outcry here, Electoral Commission, the ground should be leveled. Let every political actor take it back to the chair, Electoral Commission, that one of his errant observers has said there should be a level playing field for everyone that is participating in the 2026 election. I thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Once again, I'm Joseph Katerega. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I'm a legal and project officer at Justice Access Point. To add a voice to the many opinions of my colleagues, I'm going to question the entire panel concerning public trust. How are you planning? What is your strategy to regaining the public trust? Because by the look of not only the views of the people inside this room, but the public, we have lost our trust in the system, I would say. We have scars that are imprinted on our hearts by the deeds of this government. But I'm going to commend the EC considering that it's shifting from the local methods of conducting elections to going technical, to going to upholding technology. However, my question is still going to be, you have not highlighted about the biometric machines that were introduced. However, I have a question to this. At what point are we the citizens going to really access this data? I'll leave that at that. For police, I have just a question in regards to your accountability mechanisms and your responsiveness mechanisms. We realize that, yes, you have beautiful systems in place, PSU, we have the Human Rights Commission, Tribunal, and all that. But the same gravity, with the same spirit at which you people rights are violated in public, we actually would appreciate if these various proceedings are actually aired out to the public. Let people really see what these criminals, I would like to call them criminals at this rate, what these criminals are also facing. Will they really be accountable to their actions, and other victims repatriated in this matter? To the UCC, I appreciate the good work you're doing. However, I have one question. If you really give various media platforms the mandate to operate, why shut them down? Don't you trust them as well? You license them.
Thank you.
I'm going to inquire, just one more. I've realized that the system is more restrictive rather than regulatory. Why don't we follow our acts, since we are all basing on the acts that we follow? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think let us just one more person, then we get into the answers to those questions.
Thank you. My name is Sylvia from Namirembe FM. Mine goes to Deputy Moffitt. In all rallies, I always see religious leaders praying for one candidate. Does the Holy Spirit show that one person is the one? Muchikora mutia. And the last one goes to the police officer. I had traveled to my home area in Shema for a burial. As I was returning, they stopped me because one candidate was going to meet the voters. Then someone, they said, wake up at 4 a.m. The LCs, people have they can't even, I say what? But yeah, that mujemura candidate waffe. So I was stopped from going to board because one candidate was in the press, and if it is past 7, you are not supposed to move. Is it fair, like, after 15, you'll meet me, I will meet you? Where is Uganda heading? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll start with you, Mufti, to just answer the question in 3 minutes.
Thank you. Madam, officially, we have never as Interreligious Council, been conducting prayers at rallies. Some of the people you see are performing it in their individual perspective. But we respect the aspect that we are not partisan and that we are serving for all the communities, and therefore those whom you see, maybe you can prove it, but they have never been officially from the Interreligious Council of Uganda.
Thank you very much. On to police. Were there any questions directed to you? Let us use like 5 minutes to get them answered. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a question from Salt Media, and the gentleman was asking about the criteria of sending out police officers. What instructions are they frustrated? No, our police officers are not frustrated, and when they are going out, we brief them. We've been training them. By the way, maybe what I did not tell you is that we did a lot of training and sensitization to our police officers in as much as policing rallies and campaigns is concerned. So like I said, we always have errors. We don't send out officers to go and do sometimes the errors they do. But when they do them, we investigate. And maybe this is going to also help me answer someone from, is it Joseph Katerega? Yes, Joseph Katerega, who asked about accountability, profession standards unit role, and being responsive. Yes, we investigate these cases and we take action. Maybe we shall take his recommendation where he's saying that they should be aired. Probably why the public thinks that we do not take action against our officers is maybe because the media, you never get to know this information, and the public. But this is a recommendation that I'm taking back to my Inspector General of Police to see how this information can always be aired for all to see that we take action. There was a question from NTV asking about, that is Mr. Setuba, asking about balanced, that we are not balanced, that we carry supporters, we beat supporters of certain candidates, and that why do we wait for like what happened in Uganda to happen? We don't wait for it to happen. We go there to police. We go there to protect law and order. But why such cases happen is sometimes there are disagreements. There is a route which I know the candidate knows, which they are supposed to take, but they refuse to take the routes, and as a result, the supporters, they broke roads. Like, I like what the Shema lady has said. Now, imagine if the supporters have broke the road. This person is going to a bus station, right? And they are violent. That means people's properties, shops are going to be looted, vehicles will be vandalized, lives are going to be lost. So we don't wait for it. For us, we go there knowing that things are going to be done the way we planned. If we said we are passing via Sheraton, Old Kampala, up to Kabusu, right? But then for you, you want to use the main road to Entebbe. We are going to tell you, no, this is not the route we agreed. So that's why you have such cases where police is disagreeing with supporters. But if supporters of candidates and candidates were abiding by the rules, regulations, and laws, would not be seeing all this. And we are not biased. In our mandate, there is no any biasness. But when those mistakes happen, like I said, we investigate, we take actions, and we tell our officers to go out with a sober mind. There was a question from the Arua incident. The Arua incident, you're saying that police was trying to block the candidate. I am sure the candidate knew the route he was supposed to take. So if the candidate informed Electoral Commission that he was going to visit a certain home, I am not sure that police were aware, because police, we knew that the candidate is going to take route from A, B up to C. So if the candidate decides to take X, Y, Z, we tell him, please go back and take the agreed route. Because in the first place, if the candidate knew that this route was not convenient for him, then he should have brought it to the attention of police and Electoral Commission and say, no, this route you want me to pass, I am not going to pass on this and this day. Gemma, police is highly biased? No. If you're going to Bwaise, coming to Sheraton, and you want to come straight from Kororo to Sheraton, but we know when you pass here, because look at some of the crowds that these candidates move with. So if you want to come from Kororo to Sheraton, with all the crowds there, how do you expect me who has business at Imperial Royal, how do you expect me to operate? Why don't you use a route which is going, because still when you go through Voice, you will still reach here at the agreed time. Madam Charity, yes, I appreciate what you're saying. The 8 years old whose bones were broken, yes. Those are investigations still going on. Lydia, you talked about your delay to the bus station, but I'm sure there was an alternative route. Usually, when one route is blocked, there is always an alternative route. The challenge is when the person says, me, I must pass here. That's where we always get challenges. And I'm sure, Lydia, you must have, if you are a born of Shema, and you were going to a bus station and they told you you could not pass there, I'm sure you could have used another route. I don't know whether I've left out anything, but that is what I captured. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you so much. Over to you, UCC.
Thank you very much, colleagues, for the questions, for the comments. We take all this in good faith, and like we keep saying, we are all Ugandans making our small contribution to nation building. So most times when we hear you making these suggestions and proposals, they are welcome, because I will tell you, we are dealing with the reality. There is no script for what you're seeing. So we are all learning on duty. So as Ugandans, we welcome your views, your comments on how we can do this work better, because at the end of the day, we all have a duty to play in building this country. Salt media, you say that we are using rudimentary means. We asking media houses to give candidates many hours for free. This is not true. I know the license that Salt Media has for all its TVs and radios. In the license, the terms are very clear. It says that every media house, you have a duty to allocate a maximum of 1 hour. Actually, we say minimum of 1 hour to government to air government programs. 1 hour a week. Those of you who passed math better than me, how many hours are in a week? Now, of the many hours you have, we are saying just get off 1 hour, give it to the RDC or a government representative to come and talk about government programs, security, anything of public interest. Really, 1 hour cannot bring down a media house. And many media houses have confessed Now, this also helps them to have diversity in content, because many of you, sometimes again, you complain that there are no people from government to come on your radios and TVs to talk about government programs. So this also helps you as a media house to have diversity of opinion and ideas. So I want to encourage Salt Media and all others to please use that 1 hour properly. And if anybody comes and asks for more than 1 hour a week, you have a right as a media house to say no, you'll pay for that extra time. Because we know you are licensed to also make money. These are commercial broadcasters. You have a duty to sustain your business, but at the same time, support government in achieving its objectives. So please, if there is any specific case you know of anybody who has demanded for more hours than the 1 hour, please, you have a right to report to UCC. We'll be very happy to investigate and guide you and the person that could be disturbing you. David Ijo and Prime Radio talking about internet shutdown. This is a very topical question that we hear and receive from many of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you that there is no known government position that the internet will be shut down before or during elections. Internet shutdowns, when it occurs, it is caused by circumstances. Circumstances caused by us, the users of these platforms. So all of us, can we commit here? And I wish I could make all of you say yes. Can we commit to be responsible users of the internet? Can we commit to that, all of us as Ugandans? Because if we all commit to that and we use the internet properly, then there will be no need for anybody to look at internet as a security threat to the peace and security of all Ugandans. So I want to call upon all of us to become agents of government. If you see anybody misusing internet, falsifying information, sharing pictures that are not palatable, sharing information that you know is fictitious, please call that person to order, even before UCC or government calls them to order. If we do that and we sanitize the internet, then the internet will become a true instrument for enjoyment of our rights and freedoms, and there will be no need for anybody to restrict its use or even suspend it. So I want to assure you that there is no plan at this point to shut down the internet, continue using it, but let's use it responsibly, so that even on that date of elections, we are using it properly without causing any trouble. And
okay, as we summarize.
Related to that, somebody mentioned about AI, that AI is undermining our work. People are creating deepfake videos. Yes, it is true. And we call upon all Ugandans to use AI for good. We know the capabilities of AI, but under the law, if you use technology, including AI and other emerging technologies, to do anything that is not acceptable under the law, there are many laws in Uganda through which you can be punished. We don't have a law on AI as a country, but we have so many other laws that reprimand anybody that misuses communication platforms and technologies, including AI. For example, under the Computer Misuse Act, if you use technology to share anything that amounts to hate speech, that's an offense. You'll be prosecuted. So yes, we are studying AI, but we look at it as a platform, as a technology that we can all leverage for good and not necessarily to undermine peace and stability. Did you take any steps to engage Facebook before it was suspended? Beg Media, I can tell you, and I already mentioned this, there were so many documented processes, letters, meetings, engagements, highlighting complaints from many people in Uganda, not just government, average citizens, that were actually being defrauded, that they were losing money, that they were losing reputations because of misuse of Facebook. And we would write to them. People would complain to Facebook, and Facebook would just ignore, or sometimes they would just respond in one paragraph saying, we have reviewed your complaint, we don't find it contrary to our community standards. The question is, are community standards laws? Laws for which country? Do they override the sovereign right of a country like Uganda to regulate its own territory? No. Is Facebook a country? No, it's a private business. Can Facebook do some of the things that it does in some of our countries? In the US, no. In the US, when they are called in the Congress, they will go. Okay. In Uganda, if you call them, they will not come. So let us all use these platforms, and I want to tell you that before we take any action, we've engaged, and many of our engagements are documented, and I can tell you we do this not for our own benefit, for the good of our country, because we have a duty to protect all of you as you enjoy communication platforms. I think lastly, on building trust, and somebody saying that our regulatory approaches are restrictive, not promoting. I want to tell you, my brother, that most of the work we do at UCC, and I believe many other government regulators, we facilitate. When you see all these TVs and radios doing a lot of professional work, you may not understand what goes on behind the scenes. But whatever you're seeing is a dividend of the effort that we all jointly work on to make our media professional and accountable to you all Ugandans. Because we know that if the media is not professional, no one will win. The owner will lose, the public will lose, the government will lose. So that's why we regulate for good, not necessarily to restrict. We thank you.
Thank you so much.
The question of public trust in institutions is very serious. It is very serious. It is not just a Ugandan phenomenon. Public institutions are under scrutiny, and rightfully so, because we act in the public interest. We exist because the people exist, and the people have given us the mandate through the Constitution. I'm speaking about the Electoral Commission. And therefore, the Electoral Commission must, and we must at all times, continue to be transparent, to be accountable, and to be available to the people whom we serve. It is a question for the EC, it is a question for the other public institutions, but the question of trust is even deeper, because there are even people who don't trust in themselves. So building trust in ourselves, in our institutions, it must be work that is continuous, by ensuring that whatever we say, whatever we do, does not in any way indicate or show any shadow that we are under any influence and we are under siege by anybody, by any circumstance. And the only way we do this at the Electoral Commission is to make sure always to follow the law. The only force that makes us do what we do and how we do it are the laws that have been handed down to us to implement. We simply do that. And by that, I believe I'm also answering David Ijo, that the guidelines, when the Commission issues them, they have no colors. I've not seen that different parties or candidates are given yellow, or red, or blue, or what type of colors. Those guidelines for campaigns, guidelines for nominations, are applied equitably to all. You saw it during nominations. Everybody that came was coming as an aspirant until they left as candidates. So the application and enforcement of electoral laws and guidelines has no color, and we expect and call upon everybody to follow those guidelines to the letter. Okay. The issue of using technology in these elections, the BBVK machines, the Commission has been speaking about this. It is an enhancement of what we have used in the past. We used these machines in 2016. We used them in 2021. They are more enhanced with more capabilities on this occasion. And the objective is to make sure that the principle of one man, one woman, one vote is achieved, that we remove any possibility of ballot stuffing, we remove any possibility of impersonation, where somebody will come, they don't vote for a particular polling station, they come with perhaps predict ballots and stuff them in the ballot boxes. That is going to be impossible, practically impossible. And if there have been any people who have been benefiting from fraud of ballot stuffing or failing people to vote for them in places they don't belong, it is over. It is over, and the Commission will in the coming days be rolling out this program on different radio platforms, on digital platforms, and conducting public demonstrations, so that by the time we get to the polling, people know what to do. Okay. But they really don't have much to do except to make sure that they are available, their thumbprints are available. If they don't have thumbprints, their faces are available, because these technologies are biometric in nature. If you don't have thumbprints, at least the iris is what will identify you.
Okay.
And finally, I think finally what I have to say is that the Commission appreciates this opportunity. And we want again to thank the Uganda Human Rights Commission for convening us in this manner to collectively speak about what each one of us needs to do to ensure that we have a peaceful, free, credible, and transparent election. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you to Mr. Waiswa Abdul Salam. He is the head of Legal Uganda Communications Commission. Ms. Dina Chasimide, the Commissioner of Police, and also here to represent the Inspector General of Police. Then we do have His Eminence Muhammad Ali Waswa, the Deputy Grand Mufti of Uganda. And lastly, Mr. Julius Muchunguzi, the head of Public Relations, the Electoral Commission. Thank you so much for making time. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. And at this juncture, before you take your seats, allow me invite the chairperson to lead us in a group photo, as well as the other stakeholders. We do have the NGO Forum, and Nice Uganda, different representatives from different political parties, the CSOs, inviting all of us for a group photo. And as that is happening, allow me in a special way recognize our online audience. We have been streaming live on the Uganda Human Rights Commission, different social media platforms. That is on X, as well as YouTube. Also, there are those that are following the conversation on Zoom. And members of the media and those that all raised their questions, I hope you did get the answers. Photo moment? Yes. That is okay. Photo moment. Miss Pauline, please make your way in front. Also this gentleman, please. We all have to smile, yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Just a simple announcement. For breakfast, we are having coupons that Sarah is going to be distributing, and that will be after the closure of this. And that being said, the chairperson, Uganda Human Rights Commission, the Honorable Mariam Wangadia, is going to be giving us her closing remarks, but also there were some questions that were directed to her. She'll also use this opportunity to get them answered. Thank you so much. Honorable.
Thank you so much, Mildred, our moderator. I've been alerted. We've run short of time. Luckily, the questions put to me were not many, so I'll answer these questions very briefly, and then to avoid the usual practice of some of our good friends in the media of accosting me as I exit, I'll endeavor to write here on this stage, translate in a very summarized form what my message for today has been in Luganda, and maybe Lumasava also this time. The questions put to us were not many, like I said. Why is Dr. Besigye still in prison? I request Pauline you open the relevant provision of the Constitution. I think Article 50, 53, Article 53, Clause 4A. The Commission shall not investigate any matter which is pending before a court or judicial tribunal. So we cannot inquire into the decisions of the judge as to why Dr. Besigye is still in prison. But having said that, before I go any further, I wish the Director of Public Prosecutions was here so that he explains to you the pain they have gone through to be allowed to prosecute this case. Why can't Dr. Besigye's lawyers allow the trial to start? The DPP says they've always had their evidence ready to present it. The time which has been spent on application after application, then appeals from the rulings, and now I hear there is a formal petition before the Judicial Service Commission questioning the competence of the judge, and then there will be a ruling and maybe appeal from that ruling. That time, in my humble opinion, should have been spent on hearing the evidence and writing the judgment and taking a decision as to whether to convict or to acquit Dr. Besigye. In my humble opinion as a lawyer, is that so much time has been lost on really trivialities. The substance of the case should be presented. But finally, let me throw this challenge at the person who asked me this question. Why don't you care about the thousands of other prisoners who have been in prison longer than Dr. Besigye? Why don't they matter? To us as Uganda Human Rights Commission, every prisoner is very important. And that's why part of our mandate is to inspect places of detention, prisons, jails, to establish their conditions. And to us, every Ugandan, regardless of their status in politics, socially, in any other position, is very important. So I look forward to a time when I will be asked about those other prisoners beyond Dr. Besigye. And then we were asked about the 80-year-old lady whose bones were allegedly broken, and Mr. Okello in Iganga, why this is not in our statement. When we are conducting investigations in any human rights issues, we are required not to comment on them, especially when we intend to have them heard by our tribunal, including the Kawempe situation. The investigation of the fracas which happened during the Kawempe North by-election is under investigation. I know that the investigation is at the tail end. It will soon be concluded, and very soon you'll hear that we have summoned the relevant parties to have this case heard. That's why it's not necessary to comment on it in our statement. Else we will be found culpable under the prejudice rule. So having said that, I think before I try to kutaputa my message in Luganda, I just want, as a part of my closing remarks, official closing remarks, to appreciate our moderator of the day, Mildred Pedun. Please stand up for recognition. It's all right. But let's clap for Mildred, even in her absence, for the wonderful job done today. What a revelation. Mildred, we are very grateful. We also want to appreciate our panelists for your statements. Some of you were really ambushed, like His Eminence, the Deputy Grand Mufti of Uganda. We ambushed you. You gave us a very powerful prayer to commence today's program. We also appreciate your statement at short notice. And thank you so much, all our panelists. You stood in for your institutions very ably. And to all of you, the media, and all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please know that your views made today have been noted and will be acted upon. Let's stick together in communicating the message of peace and harmony. So lastly, in less than 5 minutes, I believe, let me try to speak in the little Uganda which I learned. You know the legacy of Semeika Kungulu in our region, and part of his legacy is we were all required to learn Luganda. In fact, I studied in Luganda up to P5, you can imagine, in Bulambuli. And then I was part of the Church of Uganda before I became a Muslim. In the Church of Uganda, we worshipped. We sang hymns of praise. We listened to the sermons, the Bible, the readings. Everything was in Luganda. So I think I'll try to speak the little Luganda I still remember. So, nga twetegekera okulonda okubindabinda, waliwo ensonga ze tuze nga twetegereza eziyinza okuleetawo obulabe ku mirembe n'obutebenkevu n'eddembe ly'obuntu mu ggwanga. Kankozesa omukisa guno mbiyiteyitemu mu bumpimpi. Tuze tulaba obubinja bw'abavubuka. Obubinja buno bw'abavubuka butondeddwawo oba bakandideeti oba abavubuka bennyini nga bagamba omulimu gwabwe kukuuma bakandideeti baabwe. Abamu beeyita bigaali oba fuutusojja. Naddala wano mu Central Region, njagala ntegeze eggwanga lyonna nti obubinja buno obw'abavubuka bu vigilantes buliwo mu mateeka, bwa bulabe ate bukontana n'enkola ya demokrasiya mu ggwanga. Okuwa obukuumi bakandideeti bonna ku mitendera gyonna kababe ba presidential candidate ogw'omulimu gwa Uganda Police Force yokka. Era nkubiriza Uganda Police Force nti obubinja obwo busaatululwe bunnambiro wonna wonna we buli. Ekirala kye twetegereza nti naddala mu regioni y'e Bunyoro nti nate wameruseewo obufuzi obutambulizibwa ku mawanga. Ekigambo abafuruki nate kyameruse. Ate mu Kigezi tulabye bannabyabufuzi abatambuliza kampeyini zaabwe abanoonya obululu naye nga kampeyini bazitambuliza ku madiini, naddala diini ey'Obukatuliki n'eya Church of Uganda. Tulowooza nti obufuzi obutambulizibwa ku mawanga oba obusosoze mu mawanga ne mu madiini bukontana ne ssemateeka, naddala akawaayiro akatulagira ffenna equality, ffenna twenkana, waleme kubaawo obusosoze ku mitendera gyonna. Bwe tunaagenda mu maaso na kino tujja kusaatulula abantu baffe ababadde mu bitundu bino nga bali bumu, basula wamu, emikolo bagikolera wamu, batambula bonna mu biseera ebingi, generation after generation. baludde nga batuula wamu, abamu kati bajjajja, abamu bagenda, so tuleme kuleetawo butabanguko mu communities ezo. Ekirala waliwo ekirala ekitukwatako kwe kusaasaanya amawulire ag'obulimba ate oluusi agalimu kyekubira, agaleetawo okutya mu nsi. Moderator nsonyiwa naye ekigambo ebyali e Tanzania ekigambo ekyo nzize nkiwulira, naye biki ebyo ebyali e Tanzania? Nze mbadde nsaba nti ate tuweeko ekitiibwa baliraanwa baffe, kuba ate ojja bw'oneetegereza nnyo ensonga z'e Tanzania oyinza okizuula nti oba oli awo ebimu byasavuwazibwa. So nze ku lwange ngamba nti tuleme nnyo ate okuleetawo okutya mu bantu nti wajja kubaawo obutabanguko biki. Nze ngamba nti ate ebimu ebyesigamibwako okutiisa abantu nti ekyali e Tanzania kijja, ebimu bya bulimba, ebimu byasavuwazibwa ate birimu kyekubira. Bwe wabaawo oba kati mwe ab'amawulire tubeesiga nnyo, muli lutindo lwaffe wakati waffe n'abantu aba bulijjo n'abakulembeze ne bakandidate abanoonya ebifo ebifo eby'enjawulo. So bwe mubaako oba n'obwo obutambi bwe mufulumya, mbadde nsaba nnyo nti ate muleme kubukutulakutula, bulage ate ekifaananyi ekitali kituufu. Bwe wabaawo ekikoleddwa, mu Bayibuli tulina ekitabo kya Genesis oba lubereberye mu Luganda, ekisembayo Revelations kye tuyita okubikulirwa. So kati bw'obanga olina vidiyo gy'otuleetedde ate neotuleeterako okubikulirwa ng'ate olubereberye olukutuddeko, so kati alaba akatambi ako ng'ate tategedde ekyaleeseewo kino kyekiki. What you cover is the response, but you deny us the genesis. What was the police responding to in Uganda or wherever they may be? Are they mad? Are they insane people? Are they sadists? Nagambye nja kwogera Luganda. So ngamba bwe mukutulakutula obutimbe obwo ne mutuleetera omukira gw'ekisolo ate omutwe n'ekifuba n'olubuto nga temubituwadde, wabaawo kye tuyita misinformation oba okutuwa amawulire agatali majjuvu ate agatondawo ekifaananyi ekitali kituufu, ate ne musinziira okwo ne mutandika otutiisa nti ekyali e Tanzania neno kijja. So mbadde kansembyeyo kino eri mikwano gyaffe ab'amawulire nti mbadde nsaba nnyo mutambulize omulimu gwammwe ku professionalism, obumanyirivu oba obukugu, buvunaanyizibwa, objectivity, awatali kyekubira. Mutambulize omulimu gwammwe ku mazima n'emwoyo gwa ggwanga. Ekirala ekitukwatako ffe ng'ab'akakiiko k'eddembe ly'obuntu, tuze tufuna amawulire nti abakyala naddala babafumbo batiisibwatiisibwa babbaabwe nga balina okubasaba olukusa basobole babalage kandidate ki gwe baba bawagira. Awatali ekyo abamu bambi babakuba n'okubakuba. Ekikolwa kino tetukikkiriza, tukigaana, kimenya amateeka n'eddembe ly'abakyala n'ekitiibwa ky'abakyala. Tukigaana ate kikome. Abakuumaddembe abakiikiriddwa wano Commissioner Police Dina, tubasaba mweyongere okukwasisa amateeka n'empisa, maintain the law and order, amateeka n'ebiragiro ebyateekebwawo ebyateekebwa akakiiko ak'okulonda mu buvumu, mukwasise amateeka n'ebiragiro n'obuvumu n'obukugu, naye ng'omulimu gwamwe mulina ogutambuliza mu okussa ekitiibwa mu ddembe ly'obuntu. Okukozesa eryanyi kibe okusalawo okukozesa eryanyi should be a last resort, kibe nga kyekikolwa ekisembayo. Naye ate bwe muba musazeewo nti embeera esaanidde okuggyayo okukozesa eryanyi libe lya kigero, ate lireme kusuukawo. Eri Bannayuganda ffenna, ffe nga Bannayuganda tusalewo, tukimanye nti okukontana mu birowoozo, okubeera n'ebirowoozo eby'enjawulo, okuwagira bakandideeti ab'enjawulo tekitegeeza nti wabeewo olukonko wakati waffe nga bannansi. Kino kireme kututuusa mu butabanguko. Bwe bubaka bwange bwemaliriza nabwo. Deputy Mufti atusabidde okulonda kujja kuba kwa mirembe, ate n'ennaku enkulu tujja ziyitamu mu mirembe, n'omwaka omujja gujja kutubeerera gwa mirembe. Mwebale nnyo okujja. Aringa ni Heholut nedda nimba mbadde ngenda kwogerako mu lugiso naye no, it is but there is no media house which is going to cover a message in Lumasaba, so we are marginalized. Yes. Very briefly, but time, I hope Pauline will not be charged extra. People are going to be bored here. Bale be bali huhulilisa inomere ndi ifefe hwatile nga huimenyelesa bibiri hutya mumoni hwabone nga aliyo bibindu binyala byahona kisira lidembe bulindi ni butwera nehambireho mu bifitifiti aliyo bugroup bwese hutile hubona bwe bafubuha babaloma baliyo hulinda bakandidate bawe hubona huri buna bugroup ubwo ibuliwo mu magambiro ata era husaba polisi iburusewo kumulimo kwehuwa bulindi bakandidate kumulimo kwa polisi yonyene ahuba bafubuhata.